Hello, friends. Welcome to the Tell It Like It Is podcast. I have Derek Oxley with me today. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You're the extraordinaire, man. I'm excited to have you, man. You've been doing this thing for a long time.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Now you're setting the bar real high. I don't now I got to put on my radio voice, but I don't do that to me, man. I appreciate the kind words, man. Thank you.
Can you tell us what exactly you do at this time?
This is a behind the wheel podcast. How I'm building this is the latest edition. What I'm looking to do is amplify voices of ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things within their communities. And running, you start finding your voice through different mediums. And when I entered the running community, this was like I did my first marathon in 2012. So prior to that, I was just running to get out of the rain, running to catch a sale at CVS or Walgreens, just trying to hunt down who had the best price on Haagen-Dazs butter pecan. And so that was it. I wasn't athletic. It was just work. It was just, my parent immigrated from Barbados. Parents brought us here to go to this country, to go to school, get your education, and then they were going back home. And that's exactly what they did. So it was just work. It wasn't, physical activity or run. It was just on the grind constantly. So yeah, that's pretty much how I sort of lived my life. And it was for the next day, for later on down the line, one day, someday down the line, then you start living or whatever. And so during that time,
You said amplify voices within the community.
yeah.
So, what kind of themes have you been seeing among these voices?
When you say themes, what do you mean? Just as far as what?
Meaning, the more people you talk to, there at some point begins to become reoccurring themes.
Hmm.
So you're talking to everyday people, amplifying their voices. What have some of the common themes been that you've been having with these conversations?
You, for the most part, you're finding that there are people who start doing something and they followed that theme of saying, okay, I was I went to school to be an accountant, and that's what I was doing, whether it's because my parents told me to do it or this was just something that I thought I was interested in. But then there's this other thing over here that I'm really passionate about now, and this is what's really fueling my juices and getting me up in the morning. Um, and so I'm finding that some people know exactly what they want to do. There's some folks who I speak to, and they knew from the beginning. This I wanted to be an attorney. This is what I always wanted to do. I knew this it was just this was something that was just part of me, and they were very clear on their vision. And they're those who, because somebody told them that this is what they should do, or this was they thought they should be involved in. Some people looking for security, and some people know. You know what? I just want to. I'm just fine with coasting. Some people are just fine with coasting, but then you have a lot of people who are very driven, very goal oriented. They know they want to get this, whether they want to be an entrepreneur, it's just very creative, and they're just trying to figure it out. You know,
So basically, you're saying that you've had a lot of conversation where the person had a primary employment and they began a love of something on the side, which is now blossoming into community level tools, and you tend to encounter them at that level.
yeah, even like give me a couple of examples. During the pandemic, we're locked down, and some people might have used the time to binge watch their favorite shows, or it's a lot. Some people, and then some people went into a creative mode, and there are a number of people who started businesses during the pandemic. It was like, okay, so what am I going to do? What do we do? You know what? Let's start there are two sisters, two triathletes. You got the plants in the back. One of them's got a garden, and they start a company. And now, it's starting to open back up. They're doing juices. They're doing, vegan products. And so you're finding that people said, you know what, I'm going to use this time to think. So you have, you have some people who are very extrovert, and then you have some people who are introverts, and so they use this time. You know what? I'm going to think. I'm going to plan out how I'm going to build this business. I'm going to put the pieces together while we're locked down, because now you're focused. You can't go anywhere, right? So now, if you're already in this mentality of I'm a thinker, and so now you're forced to now even think even more so, like, what am I going to do? They start thinking about this business, and they started, putting the pieces together, and they roll out of business. And that's in a space where something that they're interested in. They already had a garden, and it's like, how do we take this to the next level? Who can help me with this idea? And then there's a brother up here, Juice Kings. Exposed Vegan is the name of the company, and then South Carolina, I believe. And then you have Juice Kings up here in Stamford, Connecticut. This is a brother, and during the same time, they were next to. I was visiting this sneaker shop in Stamford on Atlantic Avenue. They were going through a remodel. They were doing half of the store, and then out of nowhere, the second half of this store, Juice Kings pops up. So you having people who during the pandemic are saying, you know what, I'm a little, should I do this thing, or what am I going to do? And then you have other people who are saying, let's roll this out. And they're not. I mean, you go in there, and I've had him on the show. You go in there, he's got artwork on the wall, so they're looking at ways to incorporate other people within the community. So you have an artist, Brando, right? So this guy, he does this incredible art. So his pieces are in different locations throughout Stamford. So you go into this shop, and it's just not, just like some hole in the wall. This is downtown Stamford, is like going through a revitalization. And so Black owned company, he's got a partner with him, but there's a sister in there, his niece, his wife works in there. It's a whole team. So it's like a whole vibe. You go there, and then you'll get alerts on your phone. Hey, we miss you, you know. So it's not just a business, health conscious. So they're doing some things within the community. And I'm like, okay, I like this. This is a good look, So that's those are the kinds of things that I'm seeing from people.
I
Um,
I've begun to notice that we are on an entrepreneurial rate, a wave, not just within the Black community, but I think in general there's an entrepreneurial wave now, which is definitely also in the Black community. And I don't think it started with the pandemic, but I think the pandemic kind of put a lot of fuel on that. Um, do you see that specifically within the African American community?
what entrepreneurial?
Yeah,
Yeah, it is, and not just like in just physical buildings,
right.
but a lot of people are starting businesses digitally. They're just saying, look, you got your phone,
You could
let's
just,
go.
yeah,
You have your phone, you have some intellectual property, you want to be a speaker, you have something that you uniquely can share with your audience. You're going to teach a course. You have a skill set, whether it's real estate, whether it's teaching people how to get out of debt, coaching, business. It's it's endless. I mean, you're talking about setting up courses online, and you have so many different platforms that can allow you to do something that you're interested in, that you uniquely are gifted to share with an audience. So it's an interesting time, man.
exactly. And I think for me, the reason why I'm here and in this space is that I think there's a lot of people who have 9 to 5s, who are content with their job, making good money, and they want to participate in businesses that are going to help their community. So they need people to help them find the vehicles that they can support, and the voices, the new young entrepreneurs. They need platforms where they can get their voices heard, and we need to connect the two. And I think podcasts like this and yours are good at helping that work get done.
Yeah, yeah. Podcast is a it's more than just, you have a lot of chit chat podcasts. I don't say that like, if you're just sitting down, we're just talking. I've never been a reality show kind of guy. Everybody's got their own thing, that's fine. There's something out there for everyone. So if that's a demographic, if that's a market you want to go after, then go after it, But there's a space where you have people like at the end of the day, after checking out the reality show, and now you have to figure out like, how am I gonna eat? You know what I mean? Like, okay, so what do I do? How is this gonna change my life? Like I'm real life is here. I want to be an entrepreneur because now everybody is talking about entrepreneurship and it becomes like a nice, sexy word to be able to slap on your Instagram page. I'm a coach or I'm a this. And so and never worked for anybody. And that's cool, So if you've never worked for anybody, you've never had like, how does leadership work? Like, how do I talk to people? How do I build a team? All these grand ideas and things that you're talking about that just sounds good, but where did you get this? Where did you just pop up? Like, who do you know? Like, who? You start finding these things out once life punches you in the face, you know. And I've got punched in the face, and so that's par for the course. You get in the ring, you're gonna get hit. At some point you're gonna get hit, and can you take a punch? Can you bounce back? How resilient are you? If you've never taken orders, I don't like the way they talking to me, man. You know what I'm saying? Okay, then what are you gonna do? You going to have to. How am I going to build this thing? What skills do you have? How do I identify like what am I good at? What can I do? And so the chit chat, but I'm saying after I'm doing all that talking, like, what am I going to do? Okay, somebody can recruit you. You have recruiters. You want to get into the street game. That's what you're about, and then you run the numbers. You know what it is. I mean, there's a life expectancy on that. What's the life expectancy? What are you going to do? I mean, at some point, you're not going to be on the street game. So what's the next thing? And it's not a hustle. You know what I mean? It's got to be something where at some point you're going to have to acquire some sort of business acumen, some sort of, how do I network with people? How do I build relationships that are not just, one way? Like, what could I get from you? What can I get from you, Alex? You know what I mean?
So specifically, when you're looking for your guests, what do you look for?
I'm looking for some. It depends on like what the topic is. Like initially when I started, it was like I thought you were doing something extraordinary, whether it was a Muslim triathlete and there wasn't one out there. And then you find one and who's on the U.S. team. So I think that's something that's like, yo, that's hot. I think that's a story that needs to be told. So those were the things that I think this story is, I want to talk about. I'm interested in this individual. So it wasn't like I had like an ulterior motive. And initially it was just me like, yo, I would call you up, Alex, and say, you got another phone? Okay, put the phone in front of you, right? And record yourself and have some headphones on, and we're just gonna talk. Right. And then send me the video when you're done. And that was the show. And it was somebody kept telling me, Tara, shout out to Tara. She I never met her before in my life, right? She said, you should do a podcast. You should do a podcast. And part of me was like, yo, 2007, I was a senior center manager for FedEx Kinko's. Was with them for 10 years, helped open up a bunch of branches for them. And it's like, yo, they used to send us CDs, these training CDs. And I was like, well, we should do a podcast. Why are we sending the cost of pressing up CDs? I mean, you got money, I guess, and you're shipping them out but somebody's got to ship these things. Somebody has to create them. Why don't we just do a podcast? It just would save so much money and it's just cost effective. It's like, nah, we're not doing no podcast. I don't know if they have one now or not, but that got me into thinking about audio because audio, it's a soft sell. You think about, and it's been growing ever since.
Right.
And it continues to grow. And radio now is going this way. Radio is going down, podcasting is going up. So now you have all the smart speakers, your Alexa, your Google, and everybody, you're talking. People are sending you voice messages. People are using voice technology. I just interviewed some guests on the show. They just Rumble. They've got audio technology that they're working on, where like if we wanted to have this interview and you had a list of questions structured in advance, and I couldn't, get to sit down with you live, you would send me the questions. I could type in my responses, and then I could record my response. Also, I didn't like that take. Let me retake it. And so that's a platform that they're building. And so it becomes now a little bit more intentional. So now if I'm looking for a guest, I'm like, you know what? I want to continue to showcase audio and the importance of audio, and letting young people know specifically like, yo, audio it's a business. You become, if you don't have a voice in it, then you're just thinking it's we just sitting now shooting the breeze, and next thing you know, you're not realizing that how do you get guests, the monetization, sponsorship. You're talking about building out a platform. You're talking about shows, audio books, voiceovers. All this is audio,
Right.
right? So you think about people who have made their careers and built an entire empire. Oprah,
Sure.
audio. You know what I mean?
Rush
Interviews.
long
Hmm?
Rush Limbaugh, there's a long list.
Yeah. Even if, whether you agree with him or not, you're talking about, you find your voice.
I always say to somebody, if you can get 10,000, 100,000, a million people to listen to you, you got something special. Whether or not I agree with your views or your opinions or not, it's not easy to get a million people to listen to you every week, or to
No.
have people want to listen to you every week.
Yeah. So what led you into podcasting?
You know what? I'm still trying to feel my way out to where exactly I'm gonna go, but I know exactly why I did it. And a part of this is you have to kind of give the audience what they want. And I'm also like bringing to it what I think there needs to be. I think, you know, as people of color, there's a lot of serious things happening. And, it got amplified with the pandemic and George Floyd,
Mm-hmm.
but serious things have been happening for a long time, and I think we need to be more serious about what we're actively doing. And I find that we're very much in a gradual change culture. Nobody wants to stick their neck out for radical change in the short interim. Everyone more has a, well, over the course of time things will get better, and I don't think we have a clear vision of what needs to get better and what we're doing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the conversation needs to be more, we need more fuel on that fire on an ongoing basis, not just when the crisis happens. Um, so I'm trying to have those conversations, and
Mm-hmm.
with interesting people who are interested in action, because the African American community, we have a lot of things going on, and we definitely need a lot of organization where we're connected to each other's businesses, where we're thinking alike when the issues arise, and where we move together when we need to move as a financial force.
Mm-hmm.
So I think no one's really having that conversation. People talk about their individual business, but I think as a collective, we need to support each other intentionally and not just, oh, I like what he's doing. Oh, we really need to have a collective force and move that way. Otherwise, we're gonna get left behind. Economy is changing, NFTs this, stocks that. Like, you, more of us need to be in the mix, leading with our dollars more intentionally.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. How old are you, Alex? If you don't mind me asking, man.
39, my birthday's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard some things, different conversations, and I'm a believer in change. Like I don't have a fixed mindset, but do you see patterns keep reoccurring? You see, you talked about themes earlier, and you keep hearing these themes. Um, so like I've heard these conversations, like I'm 54, and And I hear, so I've heard it for decades, you know, where now you become a little bit more, okay, I'm old enough to understand like what's going on. And I'm hearing these conversations, and it's the same conversation. And so when I thought about like podcasting, it's like, I don't just want to talk, I really, I'm not into, I love, it took me a little while to get accustomed to the sound of my voice,
Mm.
recording or whatever. Took a little while for me even looking in the mirror, as a young, um, black boy immigrating from Barbados. You didn't have, certain things, so you didn't look a certain way, wasn't getting a haircut, so girls weren't checking for you and all that. So it becomes like, you don't, what are you looking in the mirror for? Nobody looking at you. You ain't got the fresh gear, so what do you, so I'm you don't think about your self-image, and but you hear, we should do this and we should do that, and we don't do this, and then you hear all these things, and coming from a Bayesian household, children are to be seen and not heard. So I was like, don't say, you just that was what was told to me. So I spent a lot of time listening and observing, and what I learned was, yo, they would always tell us, anybody that had an accent, they immediately thought you were from Jamaica. Now they have, how many Caribbean islands are there, right? So everybody was from Jamaica. You got an accent, you from Jamaica. No, okay, I'm not from Jamaica. So that then because I'm listening now. So you think you know something that you just making assumptions. And assumptions is like the lowest form of knowledge. So now you're thinking that you're just piling us all in one barrel. And what the other thing I noticed was, nobody wanted to be from Haiti,
Right.
right? So there was this, everybody from Jamaica, nobody likes Haiti. I don't understand why nobody likes Haiti. Okay, but what is it about Haiti? You fast forward a couple of years, and now you find out, well, they stood up. They fought back. They shut down slavery. So now, like, why would you not know that they fought? Like, how did we not know that?
Right.
Like, that would give me a sense of pride. So here you are, you thinking you don't want people to know about that. So you got everybody thinking we doing this one is looking at this one funny. You got people looking at these people funny. Meanwhile, all these conversations that don't really mean nothing, like, to what the sense of pride that comes from knowing, Haiti stood up and they said, we're not taking this. And they got penalized for it too, right? So over the years, and so now it's a great country, and you think about people who are there now, and it's like, you got little Haiti in Miami or whatever. And so you hear all these things that's going on that you don't find out until after the fact, until you got older, or you go and you start searching out this information, and you find out like all these conversations that people, like this is important, right? Like, I want to know, if you've got something, I don't care what your color your skin is, really, to be honest with you. If you have something that's going to impact somebody's life, and you're sharing it with me, and I can now share it with somebody else, let's get it. Let's get it. Telling me like who can help you? Who? You start thinking about your who, and now how am I going to get this done? How who can help me accomplish my goal? Like, who's going to help you do that? You own a radio station. Now you have a voice, you got a platform, right? Now you can broadcast. So what am I talking about? So now you're in a crucial spot. Like, you're a broadcaster. You're a media company. You're an individual media company. What am I talking about? Who can I get to? How can I help the audience? Like, what do the audience want to hear? Are you a leader? It's easy to say, yo, we do it. You got your mic. You know what I mean? You go secure your guests. You go put your message out there, and get it done. And so you're gonna find, some people like, I will support, I might not support. People think you might support, is not gonna support. I just got a message from somebody that's down in Pennsylvania. Never heard of her in my life. She just inboxed me and said, yo, your message is your grind message is resonating with me. Grind, like, what is that? Giving relentless, immediate nutrition to your dream. But you're feeding your dream. Like you gotta feed your dream. Ain't nobody gonna feed it. And it's like the bell curve. You know what I mean? So you think about like the bell curve. You're gonna have people who are gonna jump on at the beginning end, right? They immediately see, yo, I like what Alex is doing. Yo, there's something about his energy, there's something about his vibe, there's something about his spirit. I really like what he's doing. And they're gonna rock with you from the beginning. That's Tara for me. Never met her. You should do this. Somebody seeing something in you before you see it in you. You should get a mic, Derek. You should do a podcast. You should get a mic, Derek. You should do a podcast. I kid you not. Never met her in my life, but she's saying you should do this. And I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? Because part of it was like 2007, somebody said, nah, we don't want to do a podcast. You thinking about it. I tried that. Nah, it didn't work out then. Punched you in the face. Wasn't ready. So now I don't even want to, subconsciously, I don't even want to pick up a bike.
Right.
That's real talk.
Did you say you did one in 2007?
So I'm thinking I purchased, I had my Mac. So, and Apple is so crazy with it. They had a blog, you set up your website, you set up the podcast inside of there, and you go. And I was like, yo, this is it. This is what I'm thinking about doing. This is what I'm thinking about doing. So this is from 2007, yo.
Okay.
So when you talk about like, you know, you have a vision and the things that you want to do, and you step out there, but you're not ready. You could not be ready. It's time and timing. You could not be ready. And then you step out there. So subconsciously, I'm like, nah, you know, coaching and doing things and impacting lives. Yeah. This was all, this is not like I just woke up and was like, yo, this is something that I want to do. No, this is a process. And you go through a refining, because you out there living all reckless. You know what I mean? Like I'm at a company, I'm at Kinko's, and I'm doing my thing. I got a cleaning company, got people working for you. You know, you can start feeling yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? You experience a little success, you start feeling yourself like, I don't need this, man. Come on. I'm out there thinking you're doing something, you gonna come in, come on, man, I don't need this. You know what I mean? You start losing sight of what's important, you know? And so now I'm like, okay, I could do this coaching business. Like, I don't need you. You know, that's my attitude. Like, yo, I'm coming in here and I can see, you can sense when somebody really not, you know, you walk into a store, you ever walk into a department store or someplace and you feel like people are watching you and you feel like you think I'm gonna steal something? Like, I'm not a thief. Like, I've stole some stuff, but I'm not a thief now. You know, I'm just telling you. And that's real. I don't try to pretend. But so when I'm talking to like a young person and you know, like where your audience is at, it's young people. It's those people. It's the guys on the block. It's young ladies, young men in high school, college, you know what I mean? Public school. I ran a dropout prevention program for a number of years. So that's my wheelhouse. That's what I enjoy. So you're talking about like public speaking, and then you get the mindset of a triathlete. Your mindset of a triathlete, the marathon mindset. And you start thinking about like Nipsey, the marathon continues. So now that language is out there, you're accustomed to hearing it. What's the marathon mindset? Like, I've run marathons. You know what I mean? You're in that field. So what is that mindset? Preparation, dedication. So it takes a certain type of individual. Like, you doing a triathlete? You're doing a triathlon? So now you got to train for 3 disciplines? Oh, you different. Like, I'm interested now in the mindset. So if we're having conversations with somebody that I'm bringing them on and they're a triathlete, like, I want to know about the mindset, because if I can take that mindset and share that with a young person now, I'm equipping them with something that's going to make a difference. You know what I mean? Right. So now if I can change a person's thinking, crazy. I was shooting some content at a track over here, and some guys was on the football field the whole while I was shooting the content. I was there for about an hour. They're running drills consistently, running drills. I finish up what I'm doing. I'm reviewing some sneakers. I'm done. Now I'm ready to bounce. So I bring my cameras over. I said, let me ask them, can I take some footage? Because they were there, no coach, on the field, just running drills, coaching each other. Yo, you got to do it, man, like this. No, you got to stay on the inside. You know, boom, Gail, let's go again. Boom. So you throw, sometimes you're doing it and sometimes you're not doing it. You got to be able to do it consistently. Yo, this is the conversation that they having with each other. So I don't know who is talking to them, but we don't give young people like the credit that they deserve. So now if you got the right mindset and you say, yo, you can do anything. If you start thinking that you can and you start moving in that direction, you become unstoppable. Unstoppable.
I think the issue for most people is, how long is it going to take to accomplish the goal that I have in mind? Now we're talking about goal setting and goal actualization. I think for most people, goals take too long, so they don't have the effort to give it that long push. Like you said, that marathon ethic, and that's something that we're not bred to have. And I think that's a major problem. We know what the issues are, we know how to solve them, but I don't have 2, 3, 4, 5 years to dedicate to that right now. And I don't want to put in that work. And, that's why we don't have that goal mindset.
Yo, I would love to continue the conversation with you, man, but
That,
you know what I'm saying? We can definitely talk, there are people like yourself, you out there doing it. If there's something that you want in life, and sometimes we can talk ourselves out of it, there are people who are doing it. Keep doing what you're doing, man. And you don't have to go at it alone. You know, you don't have to go at it alone. You listen to any podcast that's produced like NPR or whatever, this American Life or How I'm Building This. At the end, listen to the credits, right? You don't even got to listen to the whole show. Go to the end. This show was produced. They've got somebody in marketing. They got somebody in sales. They've got a host. They got somebody who's editing. They've got somebody who's producing the show. There's at least about 7 people that's producing a podcast. There's 7 people. So that means you need at least 7 people working with you. If you want this thing you not to be thinking like, who can I help me build what I'm building? Some parts of it you might be doing initially at yourself, but you got to start asking like, who can I get on board? And why would somebody want to come and assist me with this? But the who, because if you want to build it, you got to become the thing that you're looking for. You got to become like, I'm doing it. This is what I'm doing it. I'm naming it, claiming it, and I'm going to see it come to pass, period. And so whatever it's going to take, I'm just going to keep going, period.
how can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Behind the Wheel Morning Show, or you can find me at How I'm Building This.
.com.
Nah, just DerekOxley.com if you want to find me. DerekOxley.com on IG, Behind the Wheel Podcast, or How I'm Building This. Yeah.
All right, Derek, man. I'm looking forward to following up with you, man, doing a part 2. I know you have something else scheduled, so we'll have to set that up, man.
All right, man. Pleasure, man. Thank you for having me on the show, man.
I appreciate you. Travel safe.
All right, peace.
All right.